So Cinema 4D is not only for rendering out animations, you can also render out single frames. So let's say that we have our bowling alley here and we want to create a marketing piece promoting the new bowling alley. Well, we could render out a single frame and then pull this into Photoshop. And we could render out with the same multi-pass rendering that we did in the After Effects tutorial, so that we have that same level of control when we get into Photoshop. So what I want to do is come over here to the render settings and take a look at what we have. So our output is set for 1280 by 720. We want to keep the resolution to 72. Film aspect, pixel aspect, all this is fine. You want to make sure that in your frame range, you need to change this to current frame, because if you have this set up for animation, then you're probably going to have all frames or a preview range selected. So make sure you have current frame set here. Now, when we come over to save, we want to make sure that we do not have the regular image saved here. We do, however, want to turn on multipass. And here is the key right here. You need to turn on multi-layer file. This is going to create our Photoshop file that we can open up in Photoshop and have control of all the layers. So next we're going to come over to multipass, and we already have some things set here. But if you didn't, you could come over here to the multipass tab, click on here and say add image layers. It's going to add everything that it can possibly add for this particular shot into here. Now, some of this is going to be usable, some of it is not going to be usable. And what we'll do is we'll render out a pass and we'll take a look and we'll see what's actually being used in this particular scene. We just fold that up. Come to anti-aliasing. We're going to change this from geometry to best. And we have our ambient occlusion and our global illumination set. So we just need to give it a path. I'm going to set this into the single folder, alley, save. And I think that's just about it. So let's go over here. We'll click on Render to Picture Viewer. And we'll pull our picture over here. And if we come over here while it's rendering and take a look at single pass, we can take a look at the individual layers that we had set up. So we can look at the atmosphere. There's actually nothing happening here in the atmosphere layer. Atmosphere multiply, nothing going on there. Refraction. Okay, we have quite a bit going on in the reflection layer. Ambient occlusion, definitely have things going on there. Here's the global illumination layer. Obviously, there's a lot happening there. Caustics, nothing. Ambient, yes. Shadow, no. Specular, no. Diffuse, no. Material reflection, we do. Material luminance. We have our alpha channel here. Our object buffer for each one of the screens, because we had the object buffer set. And there's the object buffer for the ball. So now what we want to do is go into Photoshop, which we have right here. And we want to open up our file. So we'll file open where we saved it. And open up alley.psd. Let's just zoom out. And if we come over here to our layers palette, we can see that we do indeed have all of our layers in here that make up our image. So now if we decided, let's say that our ambient occlusion, let's say we wanted to do something different with that. You can see the ambient occlusion when I turn that on or off. Let's say I wanted it darker. Well, I could just come over here. I could duplicate that layer. And all of a sudden, my shadows are darker for the ambient occlusion. Do that a couple times. Really darken it up. You see this under the ball. And you could do that with any of the layers that you have. So if we could come over to the reflection layer, we could turn the reflections completely off, turn it on. Or if we wanted the reflections to be lighter than what they are, we could just control the opacity and turn those way down so that they're not as prominent. So this gives you an incredible level of control for your still images. So not only is Cinema 4D a great tool for creating animations, it's also a fantastic tool for creating still images.